There are things that doctors know and there are things they don't know. Nutrition, exercise, there are rare exceptions in this. Someday I hope to meet one. Exercise is valuable, probably more valuable than you people who are, in general, a biased for audience. You're in favor of it, or you wouldn't be here. You're interested, or you wouldn't be here. Exercise has potential benefits that few of you even suspect. Exercise is not a desirable part of life. It is an essential part of life. It is an absolute requirement for life itself. Now, why isn't this more broadly recognized? For several reasons. For one, the time cause and effect relationship is so far in time that most people don't notice it. If I go over here and take this young lady by the throat and choke off her air, within seconds she's aware that oxygen is a requirement for life. If I lock her in a room with no water, within a few hours she will begin to suspect that water is a requirement for life. If I lock her in there long enough that she gets ravenously hungry, she will begin to suspect that food is a requirement for life. The oxygen time effect, or cause-effect time relationship is very close, a matter of seconds. Water, a matter of hours. Food, a matter of days. Exercise is just as important as any of those things, but the time factor is much greater, spread out in time. So that if you don't exercise, you don't immediately become aware of it. Might take you months or years, by which time you will have done irreversible damage to yourself, and some that perhaps isn't irreversible. I donated $3 million to the University of Florida a few weeks ago for a study that'll run at least 8 years on osteoporosis, the demineralization of bones, which affects 70% of the people in this room right now, and will eventually affect all of you to a greater or lesser degree. Primarily it shows up in postmenopausal women. All of you have heard about the old woman who fell and broke her hip. I suppose that has happened. But generally, in thousands of cases every month, what happens is this: the hip breaks and then they fall. They're walking across the room, they're standing, and the next thing they know, they're laying on the floor. And when they try to get up, they can't. And then subsequently, they find that their hip is broken. So later they say, well, gee, I don't remember tripping, but I must have, because the next thing I knew, I was on the floor, and the fall broke my hip. Not so. The hip break came first. That's why they fell. A third of those women are dead 6 months later. None of them will ever again lead a normal life. What happened? Osteoporosis, demineralization of the bones. Why? It can be caused by a number of things: tuberculosis, syphilis, a weightless environment, certain other conditions, but primarily lack of exercise. We're doing a computer search right now back 40 years worldwide in every language of anything ever printed on the subject of osteoporosis. A few years ago, an MD did the same thing and afterwards wrote a paper, and then at the end of it he said, there are only 3 things of value to osteoporosis, and they are in the order of importance: exercise, exercise, and exercise. So we know that exercise will help prevent osteoporosis. We know that in some conditions it will help reverse it. What kind of exercise? How often? How hard? How long? We don't know. But we're going to find out.